listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static.
In today's episode, we're reviewing our picks for the top 5 business podcasts we think you should be listening to. We looked over dozens of lists, reviews, and podcast charts from 2024. These are some of the most popular business podcasts out there, and the ones we think are relevant and helpful to our agents. This list is in no particular order of rank. Each podcast has a unique perspective, some focusing more on the personal finance side, and others on how to maximize success in your business. All equally interesting and fun to listen to. All right, let's get into the reviews. The first podcast we'll talk about is the winner of the Webby Awards of 2024. The Webby Awards are international awards for people and internet content that have been given out since 1996. The 2024 winner of the Best Business Podcast is Pivot by New York Magazine and Vox Media, hosted by Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. Each episode, Scott and Kara go over the latest in business and tech that they find interesting. The conversations bounce back and forth between Scott's deadpan tone and dry humor, and Kara's straightforward, punchy humor. Scott is also the main host of a solo podcast called Prof G Markets, a financial podcast. Kara hosts a news commentary podcast called On with Kara Swisher. Check out the episode notes to grab those links. Next, we have the $100 MBA show with Omar Zenhom. Omar is an entrepreneur and the co-founder of the $100 MBA. This podcast gives you daily bite-sized episodes filled with strategies for business, customer service, sales, and marketing. Typical episodes consist of Omar exploring a specific topic, with Q&A episodes airing on Wednesdays, and interview episodes sprinkled in the schedule. Omar comes from humble beginnings as an ESL teacher before starting this business. As a host, he is very down-to-earth with his advice. With the average episode being 15 minutes, this podcast is great for those with a busy schedule or a short commute. Interview episodes tend to run longer, being around 1 hour long. In addition to the podcast, there is a course called the $100 MBA program that you can sign up for on their website, with lessons on how to start and grow your business. You can learn more about the $100 MBA podcast and program using the links in the episode notes. Our next podcast has an intriguing concept. The hosts, Jesse, Matt, and Zach, go behind the scenes with guests to discover how businesses work. It's called Business Breakdowns from Colossus, a podcast network for business and investing. You get to learn about the inner workings of different business structures, business models, and investments from industry experts around the world. On the surface, this podcast may not seem very exciting, but it's very insightful, especially if you have investments in the industries and companies they cover. The show is not financial advice about who or what to invest in, and they give that disclaimer at the beginning of episodes. The podcast is for educational purposes of how different companies and industries function from the inside. Episodes range from 45 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes. You can find the link to listen in the notes. Coming up next, we have the Tim Ferriss Show. This show has consistently ranked as a top business podcast within the podcast community, though it's not for the faint of heart, with episodes ranging from 1 hour to over 4 hours long. Thankfully, there are timestamps listed in the episode notes of the Tim Ferriss Show, so if you want to skip to a certain guest or topic, it makes it a lot easier. It's more than just about business. Themes range from self-help, wellness, mental health, general life advice, and more. Tim opens the floor to introspective and thought-provoking conversations on the topics featured. Tim has a star-studded guest list, including Hugh Jackman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Margaret Atwood, and Tony Robbins. Get the link to listen to the Tim Ferriss Show in the episode notes. Finally, we have Money Rehab with Nicole Lapin from Money News Network. This is another great podcast for those with less time for listening or short attention spans. Episodes range from 5 minutes to an hour, with most episodes being between 10 to 20 minutes long. Nicole Lapin is a news anchor and New York Times best-selling author in the financial field. She tackles listeners' questions with warmth and relatability. Nicole says at the beginning of each episode that she's the only financial expert that you don't need a dictionary to understand. Money Rehab features calls and questions from listeners and interviews with other experts. You can find the link to listen in the episode notes. Those are our top 5 business podcasts for 2024. Did your favorite podcast make the list? We love hearing from you. Let us know what your top business podcasts of 2024 are by emailing us at asgpodcast@ritterim.com. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written, recorded, and produced by me, Tina Lamoureux, with script proofing by Isabel Vitelli, podcast design by Urban Rivera, artwork by Vivian Zhao. Follow along with our show wherever you like to listen.